Hello, gamers
That's my
from around
favorite
the
part.
world. Welcome to today's episode of the World of Gaming, your number one podcast, where we discuss everything that the world of gaming has to offer: games, news, technology. And as always, we go through everything that happened over the course of this week, and we do this today with a very special guest, my friend Husk. Man, I'm so happy that you made it, because we tried to schedule this for a while now, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
Yeah.
our time zones don't line up very well. So
No, they don't. So I know it's noon at your place, and I'm glad you made it. For everyone who doesn't know who Husk is, he's part of the Gaming Beyond the Box crew and host of the Creator feature. And I'm very happy that you made it here today. So welcome to the show.
thanks for the invite. I'm actually really pumped to be here. I haven't done a podcast in a while. For those that don't know, I've stepped away from GBTV. I still communicate with them and everything. Like there's no crazy drama or falling out or anything. I'm going off to do my own stuff. But I haven't been on there in forever. I've been really busy, literally. So it's nice to finally be back on a mic and talking about video games.
Yeah, and I'm really looking forward to do that with you today, because we have a couple of great topics. We get to that in a second. But first, a little bit of the housekeeping. For those who do listen welcome to the show. I already see a couple of people in the chat hanging out with us. Welcome to you guys, but also, of course, everyone who listens after the fact on audio podcasts around the globe. As you know, the show is also available on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, and all the good stuff. And one short request, if you will, before we start with the show: if you do listen on those audio services, podcast services, it would be awesome if you to consider to give a 5-star rating to this show, and just leave a little comment or something. It really helps these small podcasts out. I would greatly appreciate that. But in terms of topics, we have a lot to talk about. I've seen people on social media saying, Husk, that it's been a very slow news week, but I kind of
It's that
disagree.
slow. Yeah, I disagree with that too. I was actually going to say that, but you took the words right out of my mouth.
Yeah, because when I wrote the list together, what are we going to talk about? I came up with, well, we got a big update on Dragon Age and some of the tools and technology they are going to use. We will talk about that. We have an idea of what the Xbox hardware team might be working on with a new chipset. We will talk about big updates from CD Projekt Red on Cyberpunk DLC coming, and the Witcher 3 next gen patch. Then we talk about Sony and their $1 billion investment into Epic. We will also talk about other Sony rumors, by the way, and a little bit about Halo Infinite and the Tony Hawk Studio Vicarious Visions. So there's so much to discuss.
Tony Hawk Studio.
The
What
Tony
do they
Hawk
got
Studio.
going on?
Man, they basically closed that studio down and merged it into Blizzard.
Oh, really? I did not know that. So yeah, you can inform
So we will
me
get
when
to
we
that.
get to
I will bring you up to speed, and we'll get to your thoughts. But I want to start a gaming podcast with some talk about the games that we actually play. So let's move to the games of the week. All right.
I like your transition things.
Thank you. I get that a lot. I came up with the idea. Actually, it was a joke with someone from the community. Crazy Louis. He's not yet in the chat, but I've no doubt he will be here soon. And then it became a thing. So yeah. So yeah, man. What have you been playing lately?
Dude, I cannot. What free time I have now, and I mean, even before I started my coursework, I didn't have a lot of time to dump into games, but I can't get away from Dying Light 2, and with them about to add New Game Plus, I will be playing through it for a third time.
Oh, you already finished twice.
I'm hooked on it, so I had to see what the other choices would lead to, so I had to play through it again.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I recently finished Elden Ring, and I know a lot of people say it's their game of the year, but for me, I like the game, but I don't think it's this big masterpiece. But I don't want to get into that too much because I agree with you. Dying Light is so good, and I think it is, as of right now, my game of the year too. I love
I
it.
played it for 20 minutes.
Yeah,
Elden
20
Ring.
minutes.
Yep,
Okay.
I played for 20 minutes, went back to Dying Light 2.
Yeah.
It's not
Dying
because I
Light.
don't think the game has that it's not good. I don't know. I haven't gotten that far into
Yeah.
it, but I can't get away from Dying Light 2. I really can't. I don't, bugs, glitches, and all. It's awesome.
It's
amazing.
awesome. It's really, really awesome. I agree. The verticality, the parkour system is fantastic. I really enjoyed the story. It had some cool twists to it. Yeah, man. If they add New Game Plus, I might do another playthrough as well. Definitely.
We're gonna have to
Yeah.
co-op some of that at some point when our
Yeah,
times can line up. I mean,
that would be
weekends are
awesome.
our
Does it
shot.
work now? Because when it came
It's-
out, I tried to play with Paul. He's actually in chat here, and we were after an hour we gave up because we couldn't get it to work
It's
in co-op.
better than it was,
Okay.
but with this next big patch and the New Game Plus edition and all that, it should be completely functional, and they've added features to the actual co-op experience and different things. The list is it's huge. There's a huge update. So.
Cool. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah, man. I played actually what you see on screen here right now, and that's Miles Morales. I started another playthrough because my Xbox broke last week. I had to send it in for repair. It actually came back. Yeah, twice for the second time. I had the same issue last summer, and they are really good in repairing everything, and it's quick, but they never tell you what was actually wrong with it.
And that bothers me because I want to know, you know what I mean? And with as transparent as they typically are, you would think maybe. Yeah. Did you ask just to see if they would even tell you? And
I
was
asked,
like,
what was and I didn't get an answer.
Oh.
The lady on the phone couldn't tell, and she said, yeah, she forwards the request to the tech team, and here we are.
The team was like, you know what? It's fixed. Don't worry about it.
It's fixed. It's the same. It's the same Xbox. It has the same serial number, so they didn't just exchange it. But yeah, I don't know what was wrong with it. It's working. I'm actually downloading all my games again right as we speak. So, and that's why.
Oh no, go ahead.
Yeah, and that's why I started another playthrough here with Miles Morales. I played that obviously at launch of the PS5 and really enjoyed it. And I thought, hey, let's give it another try because I just bought Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I played like 2 hours on the Xbox before it broke, but I didn't want to buy the game again on the PlayStation. So I thought, yeah.
Now, I wish I could play these games. Like I don't know. I had to make a choice when I went and got this current gen's consoles, and I went with my preferred console. Eventually, I'll probably wait for mid-gen refresh. Sony always has some kind of refresh. I mean, well,
yeah, if it's not an enhanced console, if it's not an enhanced console, you'll probably get a slim at least or something. Yeah. We'll talk about slim consoles a little later. I have something, some news there. Yeah. What else have I been playing? I bought Metroid Dread for the Switch, but I just played about an hour of it because we are going on a family vacation in 2 weeks, and I thought, man, I'm gonna save that one for when we are on the road
for downtime. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, Dying Light 2, man, great game. Really enjoyed it. Chat, let us know what have you been playing as of late. I would love to hear that. And
I don't know that I've worked on. I want to just reference it real quick, like how much I actually enjoy and like Dying Light. Like the first one was phenomenal, and I dumped many hours into it. I've actually been debating on buying it again because I had a hard copy of it way back, and I'm the person that when I'm done with it and it's sitting there collecting dust, if I run into a pinch, I have a couple $100 worth of games and I go get rid of them. So I don't have it. I was looking into buying it again. And I mean, it's always on sale and they supported it for
Yeah.
so many years. But anyways, when this one finally came out, and I've played so much of it, and had so many clips and different things that like I spent almost a week putting together a playthrough, like a trailer of my playthrough.
Okay.
I
That's
don't think
cool.
I've ever
Was it?
put that much time into a video in my life.
Did you upload that somewhere?
I uploaded a portion of it.
Portion
The
of it.
full thing, I intend on it, but I had the portion that I had slimmed down for TikTok's platform because it's smaller. I uploaded that one in 4K last night, but the full version I have yet to re-render out. So
Yeah. Okay.
I had like
That's
12,000
cool.
views on TikTok. That was cool.
You have, yeah, man.
I don't know what that
I
means.
was thinking.
I mean, it's such a weird platform.
It is. But I was also thinking about starting a TikTok account. It's kind of, I like doing videos, and I would like to do these shorter ones, but these shorts kind of mess up your YouTube channel, so I don't want to do them on YouTube. And that's why I was thinking about doing
Perfect
also a
platform
TikTok
for it.
channel.
I saw you. I followed you back the other day, or vice versa.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it were me and I actually had, running shows that I do consistently throughout the week, like you could take clips, little segments, like your favorite ones, and boom, you clip it out and
upload it. Exactly.
upload it
And
to
advertise the videos and everything. So yeah, I might do that in the next couple of days. I actually had a
you
discussion.
could do from your phone too. It'd be pretty easy to do.
Yeah, true that. I had the other day a discussion with N64 Josh about it. I gotta get him on this show as well at some point. He's actually real big on TikTok. He has like 60,000 followers over there. So yeah, he gave me some advice in how to handle it properly. So yeah, I'm thinking about it. All right.
New platforms always have growing pains. I can't figure it out yet, but I'll get there.
I really don't know what TikTok tries to be. That's my issue with it.
A 3-year-old's attention span. Yeah. It's that version of YouTube, I think, and it's very trendy. There's always some weird trend on there, of course.
Yeah, true.
That I won't take part in.
So, like, let's briefly have a look here in the chat. What people have been playing. Hellblade. I see Paul has been playing Hellblade. So
I've played that like 5 times.
Me too. My last playthrough was when that next gen patch came out with ray tracing on. It was a fantastic game.
I always go into it with the thought that I'm going to 100% it, like find and do anything and everything possible, and then I get lost in it, and the next thing I know, I'm at the final sequence, and
and you lost one of these collectibles, and so gotcha. So Ricardo has been playing Tiny Tina and Godfall. Yeah, I'm gonna continue with Tiny Tina now. Can't wait.
I've heard really good things about that game. But
yeah, I played like 2, maybe 3 hours or so before my Xbox broke, and I really like what I played. It's a great Borderlands game. So if you like Borderlands, Tiny Tina is right up your alley. All right, and I also want to briefly mention the first super chat. Well, it's actually not a super chat. It's a comment from Paul, who is a channel member for 11 months now.
11 months.
Bravo. 11 months. That's really awesome. He's one of the earliest supporters. He was like channel member number 2. So really appreciate the support, man. He says, just great show, guys. Thank you, Paul. And with that, we move to the news of the week. All right. I mean, listen, the biggest news of the week was obviously Bugsnax coming to Game Pass.
Oh, yeah. Hands down. Hands down.
Down.
We might as well just spend the rest of the show talking about this and let the other stuff go.
Absolutely. No, man. I want to start with something
Wiener
I
hands.
really got it. Pardon me. What was that?
Wiener hands or
Wiener
arms. I
hands.
don't mean it's a weird game. Sorry, it's
It
just
is.
weird.
It
It's odd.
really is. Yeah, but at one point, people were talking about it being only possible on PS5. So, yeah, now it's on the Switch and Xbox. But yeah, Smitty is also in chat very excited about Bugsnax. So good for you. Good for you. No, kidding, of course, kidding.
I'm
Yeah,
sure it's fun. I don't know. I don't know. I
yeah. I
I
mean,
haven't played it.
I
I'll
thought
try
about
it.
downloading it. Yeah, and playing with my kids. My sons are 4 and 5 years old, so
That would
could
be
be right up their
perfect.
alley. Yeah,
Absolutely. Oh, and you'll
yes,
get some good laughs. I'm sure out of it too.
yeah.
That's the best part about
So
playing games with your kids is the
absolutely,
goofiness that ensues most of the time.
yeah. We're playing right now through Mario Odyssey, and I'm having such a blast playing it with them.
Does it take you
It's
back to like a nostalgic time when you used to, and like that used to be what we enjoyed was
yeah, yeah.
Mario was Mario.
Ma- we
That's
grew
what
up with it,
started it
right?
all. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think it was either Mario or Tetris was probably my first game.
Tetris, I
So
think. Well,
yeah,
oh, well, I guess technically the first game I played was it's either Pitfall or what was that damn tank game on Atari that like it would take
uh,
chunks out of you.
yeah, I know what you mean. That turn-based where,
Yes.
yeah.
But yeah, but
I'm blanking on the
Mario
name
was the
right now.
first, it was the
Full
most
proper,
technical game, fully
yeah,
proper playable game.
thing. Yeah,
And
yeah,
Duck Hunt.
yeah. Oh, and Duck Hunt.
Hated that
For-
dog so much.
oh yeah, oh yeah. And what was that? There was this on the Atari that one game where you had two gorillas and they were throwing bananas at each other.
Oh, oh, like I
You
can
know what I'm
picture
talking
it.
about.
Yes, I can
That
picture
was
their
also,
weird pixelated bodies
yeah.
and
Oh, those were the
yes.
times.
Oh
Those were
man.
the times. All right. Man, I want to talk with you about Dragon Age.
Okay.
Dragon Age has been announced for a while now, almost 2 years, and a lot of people, of course, are a little bit hesitant with their excitement because we had a couple of problems on BioWare side with Mass Effect, Andromeda, and of course with Anthem, and a lot of these issues came actually from BioWare using the Frostbite engine. Yeah, so EA's in-house engine, they use it for everything from Battlefield to FIFA, Madden. All these games run on that engine, and uh, they had also made BioWare use it for their RPGs, their open world RPGs, and so it had a few issues, but that seems to be a part of the past because BioWare came out in an official statement, and I want to read that so that everyone has
Okay.
a proper understanding. What they said about the tools and technology that they are going to use in the next Dragon Age. They said, at the beginning of this project, we came up with a few principles we wanted to rely on while building the game. And probably the most impactful one was having the right tools that best fit our game. I strongly believe that developers are able to be at their most creative when on me. So sorry, here we go. My screen just flipped. So I strongly believe that the developers are able to be at their most creative when what is going on with my screen? I'm very sorry. It's jumping around like crazy.
Technical difficulties.
Oh, now
You
here we
need
go.
a
I tried
technical
one more time.
difficulties transition screen.
Yeah,
Do
exactly. So like error.
it.
Yeah, I might work on that for the next show. Good
There you
idea.
go.
Good idea. So, okay, one more time. I strongly believe that the developers are able to be at their most creative when we minimize the friction they encounter in their day-to-day work. So, making the tools easy to use and dependable makes it easier for them to be creative, which ultimately makes them makes the game a lot better. We are always learning and pushing ourselves, and with every game we get better, but we can always improve. I can't wait to talk more about some of the interesting things we have done on the tech side for Dragon Age. We take characters very seriously and do a lot of work to give them more personality and they have than they have ever had in the past. I can't say more yet, but we will over time. Oh, and by the way, Mass Effect is still early in production. So that was an official statement from BioWare this week. So what do you think? Is it a good thing that apparently they addressed these tool issues they had with the Frostbite engine and take care of that?
Oh, it's a very good thing. I don't know. From everything, you take everything in the past up to this point, and you compile it all together, and the one thing that you can deduce from almost all of it is that the Frostbite engine is a steaming pile, or it just has issues. You know, it's like that that player that shows so much promise, but only has like out of the whole season has 2 games where he performs really well. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
or he's always being injured or something. That's like the best analogy I can think of, because it can make some really beautiful looking things and some
Absolutely.
cool mechanics.
Yeah.
But there just always seems to be an issue with it. So this is a very good thing. Very good thing.
Yeah, I agree there absolutely with you. I mean, the engine was originally designed to be a first-person shooter engine, and now it's used for sports games. It's used for racing
Third
games. It's used
person,
for
everything.
for everything. So I think there are only very few engines that can actually pull that off. The only one that comes to mind right now is probably the Unreal Engine, which is the most flexible engine out there.
Everybody should just use Unreal 5 and just get it over with.
You think so? That I mean, come on. If everything runs on Unreal, we don't have the competition anymore.
Oh yeah, as far as the game engines go, I guess.
Yeah. So, no, I agree with you, and I'm also glad that they address their take on characters. That they really want to focus on developing characters in Dragon Age. Have you been playing the last Dragon Age games?
No, I actually, I started to dive into the series years and years ago
Okay.
and never got back to it. But a friend of mine is pretty passionate about it. I think if you were to stick either Dragon Age or Borderlands in front of him and make him pick one, he wouldn't be able to. Like,
Okay.
he'd probably go crazy and his mind would melt. But I mean, based off of what he's always told me, he's always the one prying on me. He's like, just do it, just do it, just do it. I really should, but
Definitely, Dragon Age Inquisition holds up really well, actually. So I highly recommend it. It's great. It's a great RPG.
So if you had to explain that series to somebody that hasn't dove into it like me, how would you describe it?
Well, the unique thing about Dragon Age is that it has this what's the English word? You always have your buddies around you. You have those companions.
Okay.
This companion system. That's what the series is very well known for. I mean, it's a great high fantasy setting. Yeah, cool. We have orcs, elves, and all the good stuff, wizards, everything that a high fantasy setting needs. But the unique thing about it is you have basically your main character, and then you have your gang, and you level those up, and you can always choose in between either fighting with them in real time, or you can switch to a kind of like a turn-based system where you have like an overview of the battlefield and you can plan your strategic moves for your companions and such. But it's totally optional.
That's a pretty neat mechanic.
Yeah, it is. And that's, I think that is the unique thing about Dragon Age and what makes it so special. And you have that along, of course, with the great writing and the characters and from BioWare. Obviously, they are not the same anymore than they used to be when they made the original Mass Effect trilogy or something. But it's still a great writing and a great story that they tell, and you make a lot of decisions, of course. And so, yeah, that's basically Dragon Age. I hope I could sell
Yeah,
you
well,
to at least
yeah,
give it a try.
it's gonna have to go on my list too, right
Yeah.
next to Mass Effect, 'cause I have it
Hmm.
installed, um, the the remaster or
The
whatever you want to
remasters.
call it,
Yeah.
and because I never played it, and one of my friend Ben is die hard Mass Effect, and he had me sold on it a long
Mm.
time ago, and I just never started it. So maybe that'll be the next one I dive into after
Yeah.
beating Dying Light 2 for the third
Do
time.
that. The Mass Effect trilogy holds up really, really well, and I think it is one of the best gaming IPs ever existed. And this trilogy is just it's
The
something special.
consistent
Yeah.
talk about how good the story is, or like
Yes, it
how
is.
well written the story is what
Yeah.
draws me to it, because like if I had to choose between multiplayer or a really good story driven first person one player
Third
experience,
person.
I'm
Mm.
taking the one player experience.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Me too. And it's one of the best you can get. Man, let me read the first super chat of the day. Comes in from the generous friend Drawn TJ. He sends in $10. Thank you so much. And he says, "Hey guys, do you think Halo Infinite will have a battle royale? If so, do you think it's like Warzone in Halo 5? Put into Infinite. We drop pods, PvP, PvE. The barrier is the flood." Man, I have actually scheduled that topic for a little later in the show, but we can move it to this point here. Let me just
I'm down.
briefly take a note when we started to talk about, so I can later make the timestamps. So yeah, John TJ, fantastic question. First, let me read something that Certain Affinity confirmed this week. Certain Affinity, for those who don't know, is the studio that worked on basically all Halos during the Bungie days. They also worked on different Call of Duty games. They worked on Doom 26, the reboot of the series. They had worked on the multiplayer part of that. They worked on Left 4 Dead. And many other games. So basically, they have been a great support studio, not just for the Halo franchise, but for a lot of other great multiplayer games.
And they've
So, and
actually
they,
been with the Halo franchise for
yeah,
quite some time, years, I
yeah,
believe.
longer than 343.
Yeah.
So, yeah, true. And they put out a tweet, and the tweet said, "We've been part of the franchise for more than 15 years,
Yeah.
and we are honored to say we are deepening our relationship with 343 and have been entrusted with further evolving Halo Infinite in some new and exciting ways." So, coming back to Drawn TJ's question from the super chat, do you think it will be a battle royale that they are working on, or what do you think? How will they support 343 in adding new content to Halo?
I wouldn't be opposed to a BR. I never was. I know initially when that was a big thing and there was this controversy around it, and stupid people saying that it won't survive without one. That was when I was arguing that it would survive without one and it doesn't need one. Would
Yeah.
it be beneficial to have one? Yeah. I mean, I would obviously try it. I've always had fun with battle royales. But at the same time, I don't know. I guess if it's a separate team working on it and implementing the changes to make it happen, sure. But don't let it cut into what you're trying to accomplish now. Like
The
I feel
actual
like
vision. Yeah.
yes, I feel like they're already so far behind. You don't go and pile things on top of the existing pile that you have to get through. That's really bad time management skills. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
yeah, sure. I would say it'd be awesome. I'd like to see it. I don't know that they're actually going to be working on that, or at least at this point. And
So,
it's
what do you
something
think
that could come out
could
at
it
any
be
time.
that they are working on?
I mean, it's hard to say because I mean, if it's not, they could literally just they could be there to take over certain aspects of overall production,
Mhm.
to tighten things up, clean things up, or bring in new game modes that aren't necessarily battle royale. You know, like
Yeah.
if you think about bringing in a support team, your support team is going to a lot of the times they're not going to be working on the main pipeline. Like
Mhm.
they're all this stuff that you have going on, you're gonna piece this off. Like this needs fixed, this needs worked on, this needs polished. At least
Yeah.
in most jobs, that's how how a
Yeah, yeah, I know what you
support
mean, yeah.
works. So they could literally be there for quality of life and a faster means of implementing features and fixes too. It
Mhm.
doesn't necessarily mean they're working on something any bigger than what a support role would,
Yeah.
but it's also doesn't mean that they're not. So
Yeah.
my assumption would be that they're working on getting this game where they wanted it in the first place. I think that's probably what they're gonna be there to
Yeah.
support, that the
Uh,
initial vision. So
I the way how they phrased it is that they have strengthened, or what was the phrasing again? We have we are deepening our relationship.
deepening.
So since they have been doing things like maps and certain modes in previous Halo games, if they deepen the relationship, my mind was actually going to a new proper game mode, a deeper mode, something that gets people excited. And I like the idea what Ron TJ put in his super chat as a second part of his question. I like the Warzone mode in Halo 5, which was fantastic because you had that PvP element, but also the PvE element. And combining that with the Flood
Oh
would be
yeah, as the
absolutely,
barriers, that is one
yes.
of the coolest ideas I've heard in
Yeah.
terms of anything big scale, like really big scale in Halo. So
Yeah.
that'd serve perfect as the map closing in is just the
So
flood,
that's
like just
very,
sitting
yeah.
outside of this barrier.
That
Like
would be
it'd be
really cool.
terrifying too, especially if
Yeah.
like the closer you are to that, you hear the old school flood like noises and almost soundtrack they had implemented in the original Halo that
Yeah,
originally
man.
gave me goosebumps. Like I was
You
like, "Oh
went
God,
into
is
that
this a horror
tunnel and you
game?"
heard for the first time
Yes,
the flood coming. That was,
I was convinced
yeah,
it was about to turn into a horror game. Like
yeah,
at that
same,
point,
same.
yeah.
Yeah, no, that would be really
Super
cool.
cool idea.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Let me ask you about the general state of Halo. What do you think? I mean, this has been a topic for a lot of podcasts over the last weeks, months. Is 343 supporting the game properly? Is there enough content? And just today, I read that actually, for the first time since the launch of Halo Infinite, the players' numbers of the Master Chief Collection actually surpassed the Halo Infinite player
Mhm.
concurrent player numbers. So, what's your take on this whole
I
situation?
will say that this is literally based on Steam and Steam alone.
Yeah, yeah,
This is not
true.
across all platforms. So I think it's literally just a piece of data that was put out there to ruffle feathers and get people talking. Um, I don't think it's that big of a deal. Um, you wouldn't think it would be that way, but MCC, that game, that's never going to die. It's never going to go
Mm,
away. It the only way I could see that happening is if it had to for some dumb reason.
yeah,
Um,
like
so
licensing
people,
issue or something. Yeah,
yes, the people are going to continue to go back and forth for as long as Halo is around, which should be more or less forever. So
yeah,
it's a great polished game. It took them a long time to get it right. If you
yeah,
think about MCC and then you think about Infinite, the fact that they've made the progress they've made with this game already in comparison to MCC was a damn disaster.
At
Okay,
launch. Yeah.
it was a mess, and it was like that for a long time. So, I mean, I don't know. It is what it is. I don't think the state of Halo Infinite is in jeopardy. I thoroughly enjoy it. I
Mhm.
do. They do need to pump out more content and continue to listen to
Yeah.
feedback, but you also can't force things either. You know, they have a lot on their plate if you think about it, and the fact that, man, I couldn't imagine working there right now. I would, after the release and everything, I would have felt so defeated and
Yeah.
just beat down by the overall community. I don't know. I would like to think that they're on track to get it where they want it,
Mhm.
and I just want them to just stay steady. Like, don't go overboard and kill yourselves trying to do all this. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
that's what makes a bad game. Don't rush shit. I know people are
Yeah.
impatient, but when you rush things, you get broken games like MCC.
Yeah. That is true. I mean, I'm a little torn here on what to think about it. Like you said, I really liked the game. I also liked the campaign, by the way. A lot of people didn't like the story. I really liked how they
I
turned it
like it.
around, and I had a blast with it. And the multiplayer is fantastic in its core mechanics. It's just that there isn't enough content, and I think this is the issue. If you of course announce a game and tell, like, yeah, we have this 10-year plan, it's gonna be this ongoing thing, people automatically will compare it to what is on the market. And on the market we have games like Fortnite, Warzone, etc. And when you look at how they pump out content, um that's just a different story and a different level. And of course people are going to compare it to those kind of games. I mean, Halo Infinite's multiplayer is free to play. Yeah, well, it's not a
Yeah.
battle royale, doesn't matter. It's still free to play multiplayer shooter, and that lacks of content right now. Now, we are still in weird times, and they just launched the game in November. That's like, yeah, well, we have now 4.5 months. The
Mm-hmm.
game is out. People are still missing core modes like co-op.
Co-op
Forge
is a
is
big
still,
one.
yeah, Forge is still missing. And then they announced that they will launch or will delay the season 2. They delayed it, and then they said, okay, season 2 is gonna bring you 2 new maps, and that's it. It
2 new
is
maps and two new modes, I believe.
modes, yeah, but it's nothing groundbreaking, in terms
Yeah,
of
no.
modes. It kind of feels like these Fiesta events that they already had. So
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if this is the right way how you handle an IP that you want to support for 10 years. Yeah, because with that kind of support, your player numbers will fall off very rapidly. And let's face it, if they
It'll look like
if
a roller coaster if you
yeah,
looked at a
but
timeline at some
in
point.
in
So
in fall we all won't have the time to go back to it, because then we will
Mhm.
play games like Starfield, we will play games like Harry Potter, Gotham Knights, I don't know, there's God of War or whatever. It is gonna be a very, very crowded fall season. So yeah, I I wonder what they are doing, because in the end, you also got to say it's Microsoft's biggest studios with over 500 employees. They have the biggest development budget of all of those studios, and um, so yeah, you gotta ask those questions as
Oh
well.
yeah.
That's why I'm saying I'm a little torn here, what to think. I agree with one thing you said though, and that is definitely I'd rather wait and get it polished than get it out quickly and in a broken state. So,
And they
yeah,
called
whatever.
in help too, which makes me happy. Like
Obviously,
in a deeper sense, like they word
yeah,
it.
yeah,
So
I agree. I agree.
it's a good
Yeah,
sign.
man. Let's stay on Xbox for a bit. Earlier this week, Brett
Ooh,
Sams.
My
Yeah.
a thought I had popped into my head about this whole
Oh,
Halo
please,
Infinite thing. Like
please.
when you had talked about you know, how all like Warzone and Fortnite and all these other battle royale games, like, and how their content is pretty consistent and relatively often. You got to remember how long they've been doing it, as well as the multitude of changes in the background that they've made to their roadmaps and their timelines and things. They've been able to find their optimization paths for this stuff and have a better sense of it. And
That is a
with
fantastic
the
point. Yeah.
10-year plan, we're not even anywhere. We're not even at the 6-month mark, correct?
Yeah.
So they will continue to optimize and stuff. And I know people's expectations are always super high, and you see all these other studios and games with their stuff delivering and just almost, I can't say flawlessly, but way better. You know what I mean? It will get there. They have to find it. It's going to take them time. It's going to take time and experience,
and longer than they probably intended to. But that's a fantastic point. None of these other games like Warzone or Fortnite, didn't launch the way they are now, and their initial update frequency was also not in the same way it is now. So yeah, we will see where 343 will take this. And I do hope that they can turn that ship around. I mean, we have seen it with other games happening, like take Sea of Thieves. Yeah, that game launched.
So good.
Yeah, everyone jumped on it and dropped out relatively quickly. And then they continued to support the game. And now it has a growing player base. It's bigger than it's ever been.
And once they got the hang of they optimized their pipelines, it's on a whole nother level from if you go back and look at when that game released compared to now, two completely different games. Completely. So
yeah.
They'll
State of Decay 2, another one.
Faith.
Yeah, it can happen. It can happen to games.
State of Decay 2 is it's another one that went through big changes. They got their stuff. Yeah.
True. All right, man. Let's move over to another Xbox-related topic while we're on Xbox. Earlier this week, Brad Sams. I don't know whether you're familiar with him.
This is an interesting one. Yeah, Brad Sams is awesome.
He's awesome. Okay. Yeah, man. And
you should get him on the show someday.
That's a good point. Good point. I need to reach out to him. Let's see if he would be up for it. That
Absolutely.
Would be a fantastic guest. Indeed. He put out a statement, and I want to quote him here now. Let me put it in context first. He put out a statement on the fact that Xbox might be working on a smaller chip for the Xbox Series consoles. He said this. I believe this is true. I know that Microsoft was working on revisions of the chip. Now, are we going to see a performance improvement? Are we going to see anything else? I don't believe that. But Microsoft is always working on making cooler, more efficient chips because that lowers the cost of production. I believe it is accurate that Microsoft is working on a smaller, more power efficient chip. That's it. I'm very confident in that. Now, when I heard that, I immediately thought back a couple of weeks ago. We had that leak of a Xbox project called Keystone. And during that episode, I had John from Xbox Era on. And it is like Brad Sam listened to that episode, because I was saying, when everyone said, the Keystone is probably a streaming stick or streaming only device for Xbox, I said, I don't know. I think it could be a Slim, an Xbox Slim, because in a chip shortage situation that we have right now globally, it makes more sense than ever to reduce the size of your die, because you simply can get a lot more chips out of a wafer if you reduce the die size. And so I think that we will see in this generation
efficiency is
exactly
key.
The slim versions will come eventually. We know that happens every generation, but I think it will happen this generation rather sooner than later because of that global chip shortage. So I want to hear
And
your
how
thoughts.
fast everything's moving, like
Yeah,
technologically, like the entire process is just it's on a whole nother level than we ever seen before.
yeah,
It's the nodes, everything's shrinking, everything's getting faster, everything's like Intel's building a entire new fab like right now, overseas, I believe at their main facility over there, with the most up-to-date technology and everything else. And I'm sure everybody else is following suit, but as you see this stuff going on, the shortage stuff is going to change, but the whole thing is changing. They're shrinking and they're stacking, and the technology for all this is just moving at such a rapid pace that it would make complete and total sense to take
yeah,
advantage of anything you can, regardless of what time frame in the gen you're currently sitting in. They're
yeah,
always in development for the next console. Even there's no reason to believe that there isn't. There's always a team working on stuff like that. So my thought, in particular, with this, the first thing that popped into my head, well, the second thing, I'll talk. The first thing that I thought of was just efficiency.
yeah,
Like you said, it'll be shrunken down. The die size will get smaller. It'll become more efficient, less power draw. All this leads to. I wouldn't necessarily say that it'll lead to a much smaller version of like the Series X, because I mean, the R&D that went into that console to be able to cool it and get the performance out of it that they did,
yeah,
like, I don't know that you can optimize it much more than it's a tower. I
yeah,
mean, they someone finally properly worked with a console much
yeah,
like a PC is, you know what I mean? In
yeah.
a
I know.
vertical stance instead of, and there's no, I don't know how much they'll get out of that, but I mean, between being able to have a smaller power supply and
Yeah,
push everything just even that little bit closer together, maybe,
yeah,
and then you could remove the disc tray, make a digital version if you
yeah,
wanted. The Series S would probably benefit most from, or would be able to shrink most out of the two,
yeah.
because of it not
Just the
getting
way
as hot.
how the hardware is set up
Yes.
internally, there's just more options to do it. Yeah, I agree.
Yes. But the second thing I thought of, and I thought it would be awesome. Yeah, have you covered the 5800X3D? Have you talked about that at all?
Not on this show. I did it on another show. Yeah,
Okay, so you have addressed
yeah,
it, so
yeah,
you
yeah,
know what that whole thing's
yeah,
about. What, like, that's not only a smaller package, like as far as the die itself,
yeah,
um, like, and obviously they stacked the cache. What if maybe they're wanting to implement that new stacking tech from AMD, and that's actually what this ends up being, because
yeah,
then you're looking at like a stupid efficient console that can perform up to 15% better
better.
than its current and it'll be less everything,
Yeah,
and it won't use as much power. It'll be faster.
yes,
It'll pump out more frames. You'll end up bottlenecking your GPU before you do anything else. Like,
that's true. It's funny that you phrase it like this because I talked about this on another podcast, and there for me, I have no doubt that this will eventually come. And the question is whether it will be implemented in a slim version.
I voted for mayonnaise on fries. Sorry.
Yeah, man, mayonnaise and fries is awesome. Yeah, by the way,
I love
before I
that.
give you my thoughts on on the stacking, um, I put up a poll in chat. I want to hear your thoughts, guys, that you are all listening in here. Want to hear, do you think a slim version will come? If so, yes in 23, in 24, no. And the fourth option is, of course, optional. So, let me hear your thoughts in chat. I want to hear that. So, see, the thing is, the slim versions usually don't have more power per se. Yeah, we had that only happened once, and that was with the 1S. The 1S was slightly faster. They slightly increased the clock speeds and the memory speed, but it couldn't do anything that the base Xbox version couldn't do, or in terms of performance or such. So of course, this is the one option that they implemented in the Slim. It will not really run games better per se in terms of higher resolutions or something like that, but maybe a little more stable frame rates, a little
stability,
more
efficiency.
less dynamic scaling if you have dynamic resolution, stuff like that. It's one option. The other thing is, I still firmly believe that we will also get a enhanced console during this generation, like a Xbox Series X Pro or whatever it will be called, and of course a PS5 Pro.
Based on Raphael, you think?
Maybe
AMD's that would be the 7000 series,
maybe, or one generation later,
or even a gen later.
Yeah. That's I firmly believe that, and the reason for that is I know that people say, yeah, well, we have this console generation is the most balanced and well designed generation that we have ever had, and while this is completely true, we just have to look at how fast the PC space is moving and technology in general is moving, and a 7-8 year console cycle just can't keep up. I already have in my PC a Zen 3 CPU, not the Zen 2 CPUs that we have in the consoles. Yeah, and when you look at the RTX 40,000 series and AMD's graphic card series that is coming out this year, we are just moving on. We are starting an RDNA 3 generation. We are starting and so when we'll talk about, let's say, 25, in 25 we will talk about RDNA 5. Pardon me, RDNA 4 and Zen 5,
Zen 5
CPUs on the on the AMD side. I don't think the console generations can exist these 8-9 years that we usually had in terms of console cycles. So
maybe like half the time, like literally cut that in half.
Yeah, exactly.
Think about it. You get a new cell phone every year or two.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
And
new laptops, new tablets, new everything. A console can exist in that space too.
Even TVs are starting to get old after 7-8 years. Yeah, if you look at what TVs could do 8 years ago. So yeah, with consoles, I don't think it would make sense for the platform holders to not take advantage of that possibility, because we have seen in the last generations that enhanced consoles can work really well. It's really not forcing anyone to upgrade. It's all optional. Everything will run on your PS5 or Xbox Series S and X that you have today. But if you want to invest in the latest technology, there is this option for you with this enhanced console, and I truly think we will see that probably a year later than Sony and Microsoft originally planned with everything that happened. But 25, 26, I would be surprised if we didn't get one, to be honest.
I would agree with you completely on that.
Yeah,
and I would love to see it, to be honest. Like, all it does is serve as another option. It's not a requirement that you buy it, but I guarantee you the market is there to justify it. Plus,
absolutely,
just like we were saying earlier, so yeah, like R&D and the costs associated with that are what they are, and they're always going to be. But the actual manufacturing of the consoles, even that soon, with as fast as everything's moving, and the less and less of a wafer that has to get wasted, and the smaller every node can get, every transistor in that block of sand, essentially, is what it is. The more, like you said, you get out of that entire, just the process, everything's going to become small enough and cheaper. It should be cheaper to manufacture this and the next console as opposed to this console. Or at least for, you know, someone as big, you know, as Microsoft, like you can justify it easily
and
make your money back tenfold.
Absolutely. And like you said, the market is there. There are enough tech enthusiasts out there that would buy these.
You know how hard it is not to open up my Series X? I won't bring myself to do it until there's another one announced, and then I will. I will definitely do that.
One day I will tear it apart. But I don't know whether I've told you that story. I have that bad experience with our toaster. My wife bought a toaster with like display where you can actually
smart toaster.
So kind of like a smart toaster. I wanted to see, okay, the engineer in me wanted to see how this worked, with what kind of sensors are they using, and I opened the entire toaster up and I couldn't put it back together again. We had to buy a new one. So that's why I'm a little bit afraid of opening up my Series X. Although you can probably find a lot of tutorials how to do that properly.
Now
on YouTube.
Definitely now. Somebody's went through the headache of screwing up and reporting their findings. So I remember. I mean, I always know I won't ever just open up a console just to do it unless it's old, or like, for instance, a 1S that was actually my kiddo's. I opened it up because it was just running horrible. And like I couldn't think of what it would be other than it's got to be overheating. There's something wrong internally. And sure as shit, I opened it up and the paste was literally like chalk. It was so
thermal
dried
paste.
out. Okay. Yep. Even in between the IHS and the heatsink, it was dusty. Like, no wonder it's running awful. I reapplied new thermal paste, put it back together, and it ran like it just came off the shelf. So, I mean, there's a risk you take by doing stuff like that, but at the same time, you might save yourself some money. True. And now that we
especially
have people that
don't have warranty anymore, just give it a try.
Yes, especially if you're outside of that warranty window.
Exactly.
Just go look at a YouTube video and crack it open.
Plus,
they're fun to look at. Just make sure you keep track of what you're pulling apart, when, and the steps to put it back together. And you just keep track of it all and then do it in reverse to put it back in.
Yeah. Indeed. All right, man. Good talk. I want to move over to another topic, and that is Cyberpunk. Have you played Cyberpunk?
I have. I haven't dumped a ton of time into it, but I played enough of it to know I thoroughly enjoy that game. I don't know, maybe got about halfway into the mainline story arc, and did a lot of dinking around, running around, doing stupid stuff, like treating it like GTA almost, when you first play a GTA game and you're just excited to go see what everything is. I have not gone back to it
for the first time, and
exactly. And go pick up that chick and give her money and then beat her up and take it back. I won't go into details. You know what I'm talking about. But yeah, I want to go back to it, and it's installed. I actually reinstalled it the other day.
Okay.
And I'll probably just start over, just to go back through that heartache of losing the one person I won't name, like right out of the gate. So, well, that made me mad. Anyways, now that it's had some time to kind of marinate. It's
Yeah,
been refined quite a bit.
quite a bit indeed.
So yeah, that I'm actually looking forward to going back to that now that
Yeah.
it's proper.
I mean,
So to
now
speak. So
the next gen patch is also out if you play it on console. It was kind of a weird timing, if I'm honest. They really stealth dropped that basically in February, the busiest month in the gaming industry in like 5 years or so, where we had like games like Dying Light,
oh,
Horizon Forbidden West, Elden
oh,
Ring,
Forbidden
and
West.
a
Yeah.
lot of other Sifu came out at that time,
Yes, I want to
and
play that too. God,
yeah,
I need more time.
so much to play. I have to play Sifu as well.
Oh, I've been
Gotta get
looking
to that.
forward to it forever.
Yeah. So, but yeah, and then in the middle of that, they stealth dropped the next gen patch of Cyberpunk, and everyone was waiting for that actually. And I thought it was a missed opportunity because this could have been like kind of like a soft relaunch of the game, if you will. But
Yep.
in a game like in a month like February, there's no chance to do that with a game that has been out for like 1.5 years now.
Unless you treated it subtly and were just kind of
Yeah,
breadcrumbing leading up to letting people start speculating, get the name, get it
exactly.
talked about again. They could have. They could have.
They could
Should have.
have, and probably should have, or just delayed a little bit the next gen patch and drop it along with some new content. But today, actually, there was the investors meeting going on at CD Projekt Red, and the vice president actually talked about the Cyberpunk DLC. And I want to quote now from that investor meeting.
I'm going to go call this person back real quick. I'll be back in
You do that
5. Fill everybody in on the
on the
cyberpunk stuff.
thing. All right, no problem.
I will return.
Yeah. So guys, yeah, it's just us for a second. Husk will be back in a second. Let me read the statement from CD Projekt Red, so everyone knows what they said about the upcoming DLC. He said, for everyone who has already walked the streets of Night City, we are working on further DLCs as well as as on a major expansion featuring a complete new storyline. We believe in the long-term potential of our newest release. Thus, one of our priorities for 2021 was to improve Cyberpunk gameplay. We are now satisfied with the game and encouraged by the gamers' reception of its next generation console edition, which launched this February. Altogether, we've sold now over 18 million copies of Cyberpunk, and CD Projekt Red also said that nearly a quarter of their studio's development staff, which is 160 people, are working on Cyberpunk's first expansion. So, of course, I want to also hear Husk's opinion on that. But since he had to step away for a second, I will just give you guys my thoughts first on this thing. I mean, if we look at The Witcher and what they did with the DLCs over there at that game, that was absolutely fantastic. Some of the best DLCs ever made in for a game. And so I was actually hoping that they launched this DLC, whatever it will be, that they're working on along with the next gen patch, could have been really like a soft re-release of the game. They are still working on it. They have 1/4 of their studio working on the DLC, which is a complete new storyline. So I would expect something like on the same quality level and also the same length like the Witcher DLCs, and so yeah, we will see how if that is true. The interesting thing is that only a quarter of the studio is working on that. And why do I think this is interesting? The interesting thing here is that it means that 3/4 of the studio are working on something else, and I do hope that it's the new Witcher game, because that's definitely something I'm excited about. But I want to hear from everyone in chat. Do you guys are you guys looking forward um, to this Cyberpunk DLC, and will it bring you back? I will also uh, put a poll in the chat, so you can vote if you guys would go back to a Cyberpunk DLC and start the game again and start playing. Yes, I will go back is one option, and the other one is no, too late for me. So I want to definitely hear your thoughts. But yeah, CD Projekt Red has been doing fantastic work with their DLC on The Witcher, and yeah, I hope they learned the lesson with the way how they launched Cyberpunk. But I'm confident because in its core, I really enjoyed Cyberpunk. I played it at launch, of course, on the current gen consoles, on the Xbox Series X, and I think most of the problems with the game were on the last gen consoles. Was it bug free? No, it was not bug free, but let's face it, most, if not all, open world games launch these days with certain bugs. I enjoyed the story and the world for what it was. I got a great ending out of it. I know a lot of people didn't like their ending, but yeah, I enjoyed the game. I thought it was great. And if you haven't played it, I definitely highly recommend to check it out. It's actually super cheap these days during the sales. And now Husk is back. I definitely want to hear your thoughts on Cyberpunk's DLC, but let me read. I think the highest
Ooh,
that
wow.
ever came in, $100 from Drawn TJ. Man, thank you. Thank you
I'm gonna
so
have to
much for
take
this
more days off for
generosity.
you, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe out of
Um
luck.
that's super. I'm
Wow.
speechless, man. Let me read it. Hey, do you guys remember when there was a story that Microsoft wants to make it where the consoles are upgradable like a PC rig, and it will be a plug and play style, meaning it would be simple. It would be cheaper for Microsoft to make. Personally, I would love that.
I agree. I have to agree. I
We
think
had
it'd be
that.
cool. It would only be able to last so long because architectures and everything
Yeah,
changes
change.
so fast. But with the supporting of multiple generations in the same socket, if that were to continue, I would absolutely love that.
Yeah, yeah, me too. During the N64 days, we kind of had something like that, where they had that N64 double D thing that you could
Mm-hmm.
apply, and you could extend the RAM of your N64. That was actually quite an interesting thing. And I agree with you. It would be probably really hard to do it because of different architectures with things like the GPU and CPU and the way how they work in consoles. They are not separate devices. They are all built on one chip, the APU. So this is probably kind of hard, but I could see that happening with like RAM. We already have it kind of like with the storage.
Semi-modular.
Yeah. Um, he John DJ follows up with his with a comment. They would make the motherboard cross-gen. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
um, you would have to come up with a unified socket model there. But in general,
APU too socket model. It would have
yes,
to.
yes. As well, it is probably a challenging thing to do, but from a pure customer perspective, it would be awesome. To just be able to, yeah, kind of have that easy plug and play upgrade.
Main board, pop in a new one.
Yeah,
That'd be
for your
crazy.
console, and not to have reinvest like another $500 in a iteration, and only to upgrade certain parts of it if you want
Like
to.
we do with GPUs or CPUs. It
Exactly.
would just be the whole
Yeah.
thing. It would cut costs from the customer's pocket for sure.
Definitely, definitely. What do the people in chat think? Let us know. It is an awesome idea. Absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, man. Listen, since you said you like Dying Light so much, I just put up a little bit gameplay of Dying
Seen
Light.
that.
It was from an early point in the game of my playthrough. So yeah, fantastic game, no doubt. But we were talking about Cyberpunk and the Cyberpunk DLC. I don't know whether you have seen the statement today because it was released like only 2 hours before the show or so. CD Projekt Red put out that they are working on a new expansion featuring a complete new storyline from the main game, and 1/4 of their studio is actually developing that. What do you think? Is this gonna be like kind of like on the same level like the Witcher DLCs, which were insanely good and like 20 30 hours of gameplay worth it? What do you think about this?
With the amount of time that like they invest a lot of time into their games, their story driven games. So I would say yes. I would say that it's not going to be some dinky thing that you just hop on and play for a handful of hours and are over it. That I don't. I guess my curiosity lies in wondering if this DLC, if you were to start a new game, will your choices affect the DLC? Or are they tethered in
Yeah.
any way, shape, or form, and essentially making it predetermined if you continue a playthrough that you've already done and go play it? Like, I don't know how they'll implement it, and I'm really curious about that. But I think it'll be big. I
Yeah.
mean, it's CD Project Red. They don't really
Do small
mess
things.
around with that. Yeah, no, it's not.
Yeah,
That's not how they work. So, um,
that's true.
yeah,
That's
it
true.
should. It'll be like a sequel. Essentially, is what their DLCs always
Yeah,
end up seeming like,
bigger than
or a
most of
new
the regular
episode.
games that are released from other studios.
Yeah.
True that.
So,
Man, let's stay on CD Projekt Red for a bit. They also announced this week that the highly anticipated next gen patch for The Witcher 3 is going to be delayed indefinitely. They had outsourced that game to Saber Interactive, actually the Russian studio of Saber Interactive, and that's why they pulled it from them with everything going on right now over there. And so they took it in house. They took it away from Saber Interactive, and they said, well, they will take care of it themselves. But for that reason, they will delay it for now indefinitely because they first need to see how much more work does it need and what's the status of it and so on. And yeah, so The Witcher 3 next gen patch delayed. What are your thoughts?
I think it's okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
I guess I don't know details as to why they pulled it from Saber.
And well, it's the Russian studio, and yeah, with all the embargoes going on towards Russia right now,
Yeah, I guess they kind of
one of the things.
it
Yeah.
kind of forced their hand, didn't it? Um, I thought about that, but I also thought I wonder if there may have been any other underlying issues, or like they weren't happy with the progress or something.
Yeah.
Um, which I mean, I don't know. In my mind, I don't know how to feel about them pulling it from him just because they're in Russia. They're not the government or the politics that go on there, and
Mm.
shouldn't be viewed as representative of that. So you're essentially taking work away from people that they're not the ones doing all this crap. So I
Mm.
mean, my thought is maybe that was just an added reason or the final Jenga block to knock the tower over. Like maybe they weren't happy with its progress or something.
Yeah.
But in terms of them taking care of it themselves now, they obviously have to prioritize. They have other priorities, bigger priorities.
Yeah.
new stuff
New
and different
stuff.
things. So
Yeah, true.
it will go down to the bottom peg most likely, and they'll chip away at it when they're ready. I guess that's
Yeah.
what the word indefinitely means. It doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It just
No.
there's no defined when.
Exactly.
So
They literally said that they are screening the game progress and status right now, and once they know how much more work they need to put in there, they will give another release window or date, and then yeah, seems like a logical thing to do there. All right, before we move over to the next topic, I want to read another super chat that came in from Dave Ramos. He sends in $2. Thank you so much. He's also a channel member. Appreciate the support. And he says, just saying hi to Box and Husk. Great show, gents. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for tuning in and supporting the show. Means a lot. Thank you. And I want to move over to a Sony topic. I don't know whether you have heard that, but earlier this week, Sony announced that they invest into Epic $1 billion.
them and Lego invested, right?
And the Lego invested,
Or
the Lego mother company, they also invested another
Kilbury,
billion.
or how did
Kirby
or something?
I don't know how to pronounce it properly.
Yeah.
But yeah, they did that as well. But it's not a Lego podcast. So I want to focus on Sony here. They said it's to strengthen their partnership on the engine, but of course also to invest more in their metaverse ambitions. So,
yeah,
boys, I want to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. They're wanting to accelerate their metaverse pipeline, I guess. I don't know. This metaverse stuff is just it's weird to me.
Yeah, same. Like
It'll
literally
be the
everyone
norm
doesn't know what it's supposed to be.
Yeah, it's like is it the beginning of our movement into 100% digital space where we just wake up and plug in and that's where we live our lives? Like, are we prepping to live on planets we can't actually live on? So we just sit in pods in virtual reality all day. I don't know. It's weird. It's a weird concept. I don't know what it is either. I want to do research on it, but at the same time, I don't really care at the moment. At some point I'll have to. We all will. Especially with the fields I want to have a career in, I'll have to know,
definitely.
But I don't know. I'm really not that interested in this metaverse nonsense. The investment, I mean, I guess if I could, I would too. I mean, in their position, right? Because you're gonna strengthen your relationship. You're gonna be able to have some kind of influence and say over certain things, to a certain extent.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's beneficial for both companies. So, I think it's smart.
Yeah. I was honestly a little bit surprised about the amount. 1 billion is really not a small sum. It is a lot of. It's really a lot of money. And for them to invest that into something where nobody knows what it's actually going to be was kind of like weird to me. But on the other hand, I think they are at this point also very afraid to miss out on certain things. And I mean, it wasn't just about the metaverse thing. It was also, and they said that in their press statement, to strengthen their collaboration, what they do with the engine. And that is also something very interesting because as of right now, we don't know about that many Sony studios actually using Unreal. The only studio that we know of is Ben Studios. All other Sony first-party studios, as of right now, do use their own proprietary engines. So it's really a lot of money to invest into something that you actually, don't use right now.
So,
do you think they will be moving over to Unreal with some of their studios?
Yeah, well, I honestly think this opens the door for choice, and preference between all the studios. Options are good, right? They're always a good thing.
Always,
And to
always
be
good.
able to have a hand in some influence over features and different things. I mean, you think about a company like Sony and the mass amount of accumulative years in developing games, like that experience. Think about being able to get that kind of input and implement things into this engine that so many developers use, and it's an open source one nonetheless. So it could potentially benefit the gaming industry as a whole. Like, there's
Yeah,
no reason to think it shouldn't. So
yeah,
um,
yeah.
I
I
think
agree that
they'll maybe give their studios the option to tinker
to
with
do.
it or
Yeah,
implement things the way they want with it. So
absolutely, absolutely. Yeah, man. We stay at Sony topic, but I just want to read one more super chat. Another generous $2 coming in from Drawn TJ. He says, "Just love supporting you, Boxenberger." Yeah, man. I can tell, and I honestly, that means so much. It is. It blows my mind, the generosity. It is. Thank you so much, Drawn TJ. Man, this week something else happened over at Sony. Sony changed their official banner, and they included Death Stranding in that. So a lot of speculations are going on right now whether Sony has acquired Kojima studio, Kojima Productions.
I have a
Um,
number for you real quick
all right,
that I wanted to mention. That investment, one billion,
yeah,
right? Was
1
the
billion,
investment
yes.
is like 0.3% of the overall, would it be value or of Epic
Oh, is that
is all like
that right?
1.3%. What was the full? Let me look, see if I can see the full number. I'm pretty sure post money equity valuation, 31.5 billion. So yeah, around
Yeah,
0.3% of that was their investment. So they won't have a ton of weight, but they'll have some weight to throw around
some
with
weight.
things.
Yeah, yeah. And it
Anyways, yeah,
wasn't like
sorry.
no, no. It's a great point that you bring up, and it's the investment wasn't like made like we buy shares of Epic,
Mhm.
but it's more like okay, we have that amount to fund R&D
Yeah,
at Epic.
a
So
proper actual investment. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. Let's move over to this Sony. Has Sony acquired Kojima Productions question? Have you seen that?
I have not. I have
You
not.
have not. So what happened is Sony has this official banner of theirs, and in there they have all their first party IPs, like an image of Jin from Ghost of Tsushima, Uncharted is there, of course, Spider-Man, and so on. And they simply added the guy from Death Stranding. I don't know what the character's name was. So they added that to this banner. And of course, that brings up the speculation: has Sony
Tons of it, I'm
acquired
sure.
them? Yeah, yeah. So, what do you think? Is this on the table for Sony? I mean, they have been on a shopping spree. They bought 5 studios last year. They acquired Bungie, obviously, this year. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it'd be really hard to acquire Kojima Productions. I think it would. I don't know if it depends on his mentality at the time, I guess, and what his vision for the future is in terms of his
Yeah,
production company. Because he's really hard to read,
he
very
is
hard
indeed.
to um, make to speculate on. Even like you could speculate all day, and you're 99% of the time you're going to be wrong.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
know.
let me add something to this discussion. Jeff Grubb, well-known industry insider who likes to leak certain things, has leaked a few
Mhm.
months ago that they are working, or the Kojima Productions is actually working on a game for Xbox. And today he came out and said about this thing, and now where do I have the quote? Here he is. He said on his show Grubsnacks, as of a couple of weeks ago, the Xbox and Kojima deal was still on. That statement was made today. So Jeff Grubb at least says, well, a few weeks ago, he has still heard that this deal is still on. Would be
Which, yeah,
which, well, is it an acquisition? I don't know. I guess only time will tell.
because you would have to at least honor previous contracts. I mean, that's
Yeah,
what goes along with new
with
acquisitions. So that
exactly.
statement only confirms that, yeah, that this thing I talked about previously is still ongoing. It's still in place. Nothing's changing there. It
Yeah,
doesn't confirm nor deny anything else really. So
sure. The only thing that actually speaks, in my mind at least, pro acquisition for Sony is that Kojima has said publicly that he would like to do more movie styles, and Sony has all these film studios as well. So collaboration here could make sense, because with
it'd be
that,
a good fit.
yeah, Kojima could have access to that as well. But yeah, I think time will tell. There's so many acquisitions going on these days.
Speaking of movies and Sony, they're adapting. Is it Ghost of Tsushima
Yes,
into
yes,
movie form? Huh?
there, yeah, there will be a Ghost of Tsushima movie. They have the director now, who's working on the script right now. So
You fell
actually,
off a
that's
very tall building.
yeah.
Where was your parachute? You not have it yet at this point?
I can't
Or did you forget?
remember.
Because I always do. I always just
Yeah,
freak
it
out
could.
and like try
Yeah,
and grab things.
probably I just forgot. No, I think I have the parachute at that point in the game,
Yeah,
because
I
it's
always
already in
forgot
that
I had
second
it.
part of the city. Yeah, probably. Um, yeah, and let's move over to the last topic for the day before we talk about the community questions, and that is something. Well, I'm not really happy about. Let me put it this way, because I love Tony Hawk. Do you like Tony Hawk?
I dumped so many hours into those games back in the
Yeah.
day. I haven't touched it. I can't remember which one they put out that was just kind of a steaming pile. But I played it at a friend's house, and I haven't bought one since. I don't remember. I think my favorite was Underground. I think.
Oh, Underground.
I
Really?
mean,
I hear
I,
that. Most of the time I hear like Tony Hawk 2 or something like that, or maybe
because
1, but
Underground had like I don't know this. I don't know. I'll just say kind of derpy little story narrative like
yeah.
weaved into it, and I don't know. We had fun with it. You know, made my character look all kinds of weird and stuff too when I customized it. I don't know. I have fond memories of it because I played it with a good friend of mine, but
Hmm.
I could go play any of them for hours,
Yeah.
especially if you know
Absolutely.
if you have Iron Man unlocked and you go play with him and
Tony
you know
Hawk's so
crank the
good.
scores up.
Have you played the remake of 1 and 2?
I have not. I have
Oh, you
not.
got to play that. Was
I want to. I
Yeah.
want to.
I bought it day one when the remake came out, and I do not regret it because I spent like I don't know how many hours, way too many hours again with Tony Hawk.
Yeah.
It holds up so well, that formula, the music. They had the entire original soundtrack and added actually a couple of
Yes.
sounds to
See,
it. It
that made me really happy. And
Yeah.
that's probably what drove me to even consider getting it again was the fact that it's all original. It's a literal remaster. Like all the licensing, everything got taken care of. So we got that
Yeah.
original soundtrack or not original, but that same soundtrack from
The
the
same
original.
soundtrack. Yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, and that studio, Vicarious Visions, is no more. They have announced this week that they completed their merger with Blizzard, and they have now been officially merged with Blizzard Entertainment, and the development team will remain, but it will from now be a support team for the Blizzard games.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, that's really unfortunate because when Microsoft announced that acquisition, and Phil talked about he wants to bring back a lot of IPs. I was, yeah, give us a proper new Tony Hawk. But with that studio now being basically gone, and the developers are now just support developers for Blizzard IPs, other Blizzard IPs. Yeah, I think chances are small that we get that.
Well, it's not out of the realm of possibility though, because
Yeah,
you could always pull that team back together now that they're all under this. They're under the same roof, and they got all these other developers and everybody else in there. I mean, you pull that team back in to like oversight
yeah,
on developing another one, and then you have all the talent surrounding them now. It's possible.
yeah,
It's still possible. Maybe unlikely, but then again, I don't think you let an IP like that just kind of go away
yeah.
either.
Would be a shame. Would be a shame because,
Yeah.
well, Tony Hawk 5 wasn't it? Definitely not, and we would deserve a proper, well-funded Tony Hawk game. So, yeah, man. So that's basically it for the news of this week. And with that,
Speaking of reboot IPs, I want
yeah.
a new current from the ground up Fusion Frenzy game
Ooh,
with
that would be
online
cool.
multiplayer. I've been
Yeah,
clamoring for that since
that
the
would
second
be
one came
really
out.
cool. No,
Yes.
I have two games actually on my reboot list. I would like to see a Crimson Skies
Ooh.
again. That is one near and dear to my heart, and the other one is we had that StarCraft third person game announced, and it never came out. And I want them to take up that
And actually
IP
do it.
and actually do it. That would be awesome.
I think my top game, if I had to choose one that I want a reboot of, like just start over current gen, would be The Suffering.
Yeah.
It's one of my
Xanaros in
favorite
chat
games of all time.
just said it. Now, Ghost. Exactly. StarCraft Ghost. Yeah, that's the name. Exactly. I want to see that game actually released. All right, man.
We
So
have
you
Dead
got another
Space
few.
remake to look
Oh yeah.
forward to. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. No. You have a couple of more minutes, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic, because then we can talk about some community questions.
You actually got a decent amount.
Yeah, I got a lot actually on Twitter and YouTube. People
YouTube
also
too. I
write.
didn't look there. So.
Yes. People also write in on YouTube. Usually, I put those posts up on Wednesday, so people can write in different questions that they want us to answer. And we got so many questions that I don't think we will be able to answer all of them, but we do our best. We do our best.
We'll give it a good old college try here.
Exactly. So the first comes in from Jonathan Smith, and he asks, "Hey, after watching your more recent videos about RDNA 2 features, Unreal Engine 5 talk, and such, it made me think about the Kinect hardware. In my personal opinion, contrary to many, I felt like the hardware was underutilized and had potential to change the way games were made and played. Do you think these RDNA 2 features and stuff like FSR 2.0 will be underutilized by third party and small studios this gen?" Oh, basically, it's a great question, Husk, because I know you're also a tech enthusiast, and we know that there isn't parity in terms of features and technology in the consoles. And that brings up the question whether third-party developers will actually make full use of all the features that they have on the Xbox side in their games. What do you think?
Well, I think it makes sense that they would. That's the thing is, it's an option. Obviously, it's not a requirement. So,
Yeah.
as far as third-party studios go, I feel like it'll gain traction once we start seeing more support for it. The more in the industry that choose to use it, the more are going to want to, especially if it's well received. And the fact, like, so this feature isn't subject to being confined on one platform. So if you have it and you're implementing it on PC, to me, it wouldn't make any sense that it wouldn't more or less make it super easy to implement it on console as well.
Yeah.
I don't know what kind of limitations are there or anything like that. I know porting games is a whole different thing, but this is essentially a software implemented feature. Like you have to have the hardware to do it properly, which both do, correct?
Yeah.
So it makes sense that you'd be able to implement it on both. First party will take advantage of it, I think, for sure, but third party,
absolutely. Third party is a question. I think it really depends on the feature we are talking about. If it's something that affects basically gameplay design and game mechanics or stuff like that, you won't see it being utilized in third-party games, because then it's hard to port them over. If it's kind of a graphic feature like ray tracing, you can turn it on or off on certain devices. I think this really depends on the feature we are talking about, but I was
referring to FSR, by the way.
Yeah, FSR.
I didn't
exactly
say that. Yeah, so
it depends. Yeah, but I think your point is valid for other technologies as well. It's not just FSR. There are other things like sampler feedback streaming. Take that for an instance. Yeah, or if we talk about direct storage, was just released on PC. Yeah. Also, so yeah, I think it really depends on the feature we are talking about. And I think for us, the important thing is more what I'm a little bit more afraid of, to be honest, and that goes for first and third party games, is the lowest common denominator. And I truly hope that third party games and first party games will increase the minimum required specs of a game on PC. That is actually what I'm talking about, because basically the lowest common denominator is the minimum specs right now on PC. All those games usually run on super cheap old PCs. Yeah. And that is what's actually holding things back. I don't think it's the non-parity in between Xbox and PlayStation or something like that. I think this is
a PC market that's actually, yes, I agree 100%.
Yeah.
Like you shouldn't be able to plug in your 780 Ti and run a game on it. The thing's only got 2 gigabytes of or 4
VRAM,
gigabytes of VRAM, and God, just over triple digit CUDA core. I don't even remember. I'd have to look at it. I had that card. That's why I mentioned it. Like, there's no reason I should be able to plug that in and play even something as simple as Fortnite or it's just, there's better graphics cards inside of an APU by a long shot now. So
true.
Come on.
Exactly. Yeah, man, the next question comes in from FRSX. He says, "Hi, I believe in 15 or 20 years from now, cinema will be replaced by immersive experiences like VR and interactive movies using real-time game engines. So should big companies like Microsoft and Disney or someone else invest heavily in one owned game engine, or should they just use Unreal 5, 6, 7 and so on?" I want to hand that question first to you.
The first thing I'll say is that I don't believe films in the cinematic experience. I don't think it'll be replaced. There will always be a niche for it, and it'll come in and out of within trending like everything else does. I mean, there's a reason you're seeing mullets make a return and the horrible styles of the 80s as far as clothing come back, is because nothing ever really like goes away. Like things always come back. And there's always people interested in certain niches. So but in terms of his thoughts on like a real-time game engine and an augmented experience, a cinematic experience, I think that would be it's a really awesome concept. I really like that idea. I think he's right that'll definitely be a thing to some extent, whether it'll be, necessarily a game engine or an engine altered to be more of a cinematic experience. I don't, I mean, I wouldn't go as far as to say, should they or will they invest in something like that? I guess my question, if I had to rephrase it, would be, are they already looking into it, and how much have they invested in the background into such a thing? Because they're on the edge of everything that we don't even know about half the stuff that they do. So I think it would be fair to say that they already are investing in experiences like that, especially with their augmented reality. That's something they're very, very good at.
True. And I just want to add two things there, because I fully agree with you. A lot of big studios are actually already working with real-time gaming engines, and I think that $1 billion investment that we talked earlier about is from Sony, also not just about video games. It's also for their film department and movie department. And here's why: Disney is heavily using Unreal 4 already in their series. If you have seen The Mandalorian, a lot of scenes in The Mandalorian and a lot of effects were actually created with Unreal 4. Unreal Engine 4 they are using, and there's a documentary up that you can watch, which is I highly recommend it. It's super interesting to see how they use real-time renders in Unreal on set while they are filming it. So they are not just in front of a green screen anymore. The actors are actually looking at the canyon that is supposed to be on the screen.
Like this almost dome kind of thing going on. Like the room they're in is actually, it's crazy.
Exactly. And that helps, of course, the actors, because it is a completely different thing to do it in front of a green screen or in front of something like this. So
makes it properly atmospheric, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. So the potential there is really big, and I think you will see those things transition over, and both industries will push this technology forward and make use of it and benefit from each other. So but it's an interesting thought, and I thought it was an interesting question to
very interesting question. I like the prospect of those two industries in entertainment becoming more and more collaborative, I guess would be the way to put that. It's an awesome thought.
Dan Darcy writes in and asks, to the both of you, if you both had to choose one game to bring with you to a desert island, what would it be?
Dying Light 2.
Dying Light.
That's it. That's it.
Yeah, I think for me it's The Witcher 3. I can play that game forever.
I would say Hellblade, but it doesn't. Its replayability ends at the confined spaces that you're in. Dying Light 2, I mean, I dumped 2 hours into it alone trying to get outside the map and succeeded. I ended up inside of a building that didn't have any innards without dying from the radiation. So I don't know, it's a game you can get lost in doing
Oh
silly
yeah,
stuff instead of
definitely.
doing this mission. 2 hours have gone by and you haven't accomplished anything.
Anything? Yeah,
You know what I
I
mean? So
agree.
yeah, I would take that. Yeah.
Yeah. Good stuff. Andrew Source writes in. Actually, he wrote it in German, but I'm gonna translate it. Makes it easier for the conversation. Um, for the Easter weekend, I bought myself a Call of Duty Vanguard. What did you get for to play over Easter? Yeah, man. I go first.
Yeah.
I'm
I didn't get, well, I mean, I have Elden Ring sitting here, but
Yeah,
I'm
for
not
me,
gonna
it's
play.
like I said earlier, I just started with Tiny Tina's, and that's gonna keep me busy over the Easter weekend, and then I already also have that Metroid Dread game waiting for me. So yeah, that's basically my Easter thing. Richard Freudel writes in. He asks, "What is your opinion on what Stalker 2 has to integrate to be good? What kind of open world game do you want it to be?" I'll let you
It's really
go.
hard. It's really hard to
That's
define what makes a game an open world game.
yeah.
Like everybody has an opinion on it. I think if there is the you can go as far as to say an open world doesn't have borders. The only
Mhm.
true, I get like, I don't know, maybe there should be another term for this. The only true open world game, this might butt hurt people, is Minecraft. Like you can
Yeah.
continue to run for eternity and it will
Yeah.
generate and generate and generate. When they can figure something like that out in every game, we're screwed.
Well, No
We'll
Man's
never put one
Sky
game.
kind of had this.
Yes, they're real
Yeah.
close too. But
Yeah.
like, and then you look at something like Halo Infinite, and I view it, everybody views it
Yeah.
as an open world. Maybe it'd be more accurate to say these games are open world concepts.
Yeah.
Like they don't really they don't direct you in a specific path um, to hit this open world um, want from everybody. You have to do that.
Mhm.
If you want to direct them anywhere storyline wise, they just need to be small nudges or
Yeah.
reminders, but keep it from being a tunnel. Like have have one specific path for your main objective, and then kind of let you just run amok everywhere else, and don't
Yeah.
confine the player. Um, that's what I just don't want them to confine us
Yeah.
to what we have to do.
Let me play the game at my own pace. This is always in of course, for good storyline, you usually kind of have to have these kind of anchors that you go
Mm-hmm.
from here to there, and then, but I don't want to be forced to do this side mission first before I do this mission or something like that. That really
Freedom.
helps me. Freedom, yeah. And another thing that is really important for a good open world game, in my opinion, is to have like kind of these Metroidvania effects. So I want to see, for instance, a building, and I can't get up there yet because I have to upgrade either my character or build something special or find a certain piece of loot. And I like these kind of aspects because they usually invite me to come back to earlier areas
It's
in
like
the
Dying
game.
Light 2 did the same
Exactly.
thing. Okay, yeah, no, I see what you're saying. Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
that's why it was so good. Yeah, because it really, when you get the parachute, you go suddenly back to the first area where you didn't have the parachute, and suddenly you can reach other areas
Yes.
in that. And these kind of things help the design of an open world very much if you have that.
And the
Um,
environments, if
yeah.
there's different environments, they
Oh
all
yeah,
need to
different biomes and
feel
such. Yeah.
different. Yes, you need
Yeah.
to have a sense of dread and fear if it's a really creepy, dark, mysterious area, and if it's a well lit, it needs to be more upbeat. There's feelings tethered to everything we take in visually. So environments, I should have mentioned that first. The most important thing in this game will be its environments and how they make you feel.
Yeah.
That is the most important aspect of an open world,
Especially in these post-apocalyptic worlds. Only few games really nail that because everything looks the same in these post-apocalyptic environments, and if they can nail that to still have that diversity in there, that would be awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, but I don't think, by the way, that this game will come out this year. With the developers putting the game on hold, game development on hold right now, I don't think we will see it happening this year.
Plus, why push for it when fall's as low as it already is, and that there's still stuff we don't know about. So, mean, it might be beneficial for them to hold off for a little bit.
Yeah.
Anyways,
yeah, I agree. All right, let me ask another question from Ferris MD. He asks, do you think that we will get an update for the Xbox dashboard that will somehow overhaul the look and feel of it?
I don't think we'll ever see a full overhaul of the way it is now. It's been treated a lot like the 360. Remember the dashboard, how it just kind of slowly evolved into this, I'll just say it, the perfectly functioning the OS on that thing, like the interface, everything, the user experience for that console by the time it was said and done was damn near perfect in my mind. And the jump to the next generation, the Xbox One, whatever, it wasn't terribly jarring, but there was a lot that people, like, they took all the feedback and that's all they do. They continuously take the feedback and implement features or change things. I don't see a reason to completely overhaul it, and I don't think we'll see a full overhaul. I think we'll see an evolution of it, and it might look considerably different 4 years from now, but it won't be this jarring kind of thing. It will be a slow evolution, and we will mold it into such.
Yeah.
So
that's a great point. I haven't thought about it like that, because usually Xbox does these complete new dashboards once or twice during a generation. We had the 360 launch dashboard was completely exchanged after, I don't know, 2 years, 3 years or so. We had the same happening on the Xbox One, where we had that launch dashboard and it got completely exchanged. So I thought,
if you look back though, they kind of just they chipped at it initially before. Here's this,
Yeah. So when I read his question, I thought, yeah, of course. But you bring up a good point. There's really no hard need to completely change the dashboard, especially with their approach that the dashboard still has to run on the old consoles as well, and everything has the same user interface. And I think this would be way harder to do now, to make just a complete new dashboard. What I do hope, though, is, honestly, and I've been saying that for a long time, at least for the Xbox Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, remove the ads on the home screen.
Yes. Good.
And that home screen is so cluttered.
That's the only obnoxious thing for me. That's.
And now we have those backgrounds, these beautiful animated backgrounds, and you can't see
and you can't see them.
Exactly. So
what's the point?
Please, at least for the Game Pass Ultimate subscribers, remove these damn ads. I don't need them there.
Me neither. Or at least just like make it an option for us to tick a box of features that we want to see on our home screen.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's really just a glorified version of what Windows does with tabs that you have pinned to your desktop for your taskbar. So let us control the size, placement, and what
exactly.
Shortcuts we want there. And then if we want to see our dynamic background, damn it, let us create another open tab where that's our home screen, kind of like a phone. I could grab my phone right now and hold on my home screen and add another screen that I can swipe over to. Give us that. My Xbox turns on, my dynamic background and my logo or whatever I want on there is there, and then I go over one page and there's my home screen with all bullshit ads on it.
And while they are at it, please add folders. I want
folders. Yes, please.
I have so many games in my library.
File management system.
Yeah, file management system.
Better user.
Yeah, yes. I mean, we have these groups, but it's really not the same. Proper, decent folder system for our games and apps.
I agree.
Yeah. All right. Man, they should just hire us. We would make them a top-notch dashboard.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. All right. Nice. The last question, another technical related one, in a certain sense, comes in from Sith Lord. And he asks, besides the new games from Coalition, what studio are you most excited to see what they can do with the new Unreal Engine 5?
This is easy for me. It'd be Ninja Theory.
Ninja Theory. I knew you would gonna say that. Yeah.
Hellblade is like there's not a game that I can think of off the top of my head right now that beats it in terms of not even necessarily my favorite game of all time, but I almost have to say that for people to get why I love it. So like that, I love that game so much for so many reasons that I'm not even going to dive into, but Ninja Theory for sure. And oh God, I called it a long time ago that they were going to push the envelope of ultra like realism, like hyper realism. I think they're one of the few at the forefront of that. And if you go look into Project Mara, you can see what they're doing, like what they're aiming for. And by the time we see something like that, they'll already probably be close to something even better, even more realistic looking. They're doing some crazy stuff, so they will for sure. They're gonna set a bar, and they're gonna set it really, really damn high, and it's not that far away that they will. So
yeah. I mean, Ninja Theory, Wandering Dutch here in chat agrees with you. Ninja Theory, obviously, he says. Big Mad Mo says In Exile. Yeah, it's also going to be an interesting one. And yeah, man, I want to say Ninja Theory as well, because I agree with you that the attention to detail and the ambition to have that next level realism is just something to get excited about. But just for the sake of argument, I'm gonna name another studio, and that is CD Projekt Red. Man, I want to see what they can do with Unreal 5 in the next Witcher game.
Dude, the Witcher games they've always been pretty, like, really appealing, and the gameplay, like the mechanics, everything's that series is very, very, very well loved by a lot of people, and it gets a lot of praise, and it should. So that's an interesting one. I wouldn't have thought of that.
Yeah, their two last games, Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, both won the Graphics of the Year award from Digital Foundry, and it just tells you that they know their way around good graphics, and I want to see what they can do with such an incredible tool like the Unreal Engine 5 in their hands. So, but I agree. Ninja Theory, man, good pick here.
I'm gonna assume it's Siki. I don't know how to.
Yeah.
You're right. Yes, gameplay is important. Okay. I will say that one thing I I saw a lot of feedback from people that weren't particularly fond of Hellblade's combat
Yeah.
mechanics. Um, I assure you that well, all right. In my opinion, it's probably some of the best, not only easiest, but um, they're really good in my opinion. Like I could string together insane combos with multiple different moves. There are the word I'm looking for, when you push one button and hit another to do something else. You know, you hit a combination of buttons with a similar button you used earlier. Like
Yeah.
what's that word? There's fighting games that use it all the time, where you would
finishing moves.
and you enhance
Kind of like
an attack with
Yeah.
something, or you change or alter it.
Yeah.
There are the move list in that game is actually a lot longer than anybody even realizes. And
Yeah.
if you give the combat of that game a proper chance, go look at the list of moves and start using them, and it flows so good. Like
Yeah.
I stayed alive for an absurdly long amount of time in the final segment of that game, just because I got so good and fluid with attacking that I hardly got touched. At some point, I just had to give up and croak, because that's what you do
Yeah.
to end the game. So,
And they have put out actually a great development diary. I actually made a video about this, I think like 7-8 months ago or so. They sent all their animators and all their gameplay designers to martial art training, just to that everyone involved in the animations and such does have a better understanding in how to move properly. How do you move during combat and stuff like that? And
those
they hired.
diaries are so good.
Yes, they are. They are absolutely. And they hired the combat designer from Star Wars actually to work with them to train the main actress Melina. So yeah, I think you're right. They are going to take that also to the next level, and everyone should also consider the first game was made from 20 people, 21 people actually, and
Yeah.
under very strict timeline, in a very strict timeline, and under very restrictive budget. So obviously, that game was actually released as an indie game.
It was, yes.
If you think about this, so
it technically, yeah, is an indie title. I mean, it technically was made when it was considered that, so I guess it would still technically fall under under that category. I forgot about that.
Yeah. So I think this is gonna be on a completely different level, and it's not just graphics. It's their sound design, it's their storytelling, the way how they design the uh, the the mind of
Yes.
Senua and everything. They are going to take all that to the next level. So I have no doubt that this is going to be one of these games that actually will push game design and graphics and technology forward. It's not just one of those. It will be one of those milestones in gaming. I have no doubt about it.
I agree.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
I can't wait. Yeah.
And my good friend Wandering Dutch asks, what about Avowed in Obsidian? Yeah, I mean, I've said it. Avowed is probably my most anticipated Xbox first party game right now. Of course, next to Hellblade. But yeah, I'm such a big Skyrim fan. I simply don't know whether they will push the boundaries of technology. I have no doubt that Avowed will be a great looking game. They have a lot of support now, also from within the other Xbox studios. They have these masters of Unreal, like Ninja Theory, but also like, of course, the Coalition and people as such that they can ask how to work their ways around Unreal. But I don't think it will be that super duper mind blowing game in terms of graphics. It will be a great looking game, but probably in terms of graphics, not revolutionary. Just my gut feelings. But I do hope I'm
Future is
wrong.
bright. It's very
Yeah,
bright.
it's
Very bright.
there's so much great stuff coming.
I'm gonna die with a backlog of thousands of games.
That's a good thing
it's
to
gonna
do.
be ridiculous.
That's a good thing to do.
It makes it harder and harder to talk about games anymore because, like, you know what? I
Yeah,
haven't played it yet.
exactly.
Oh,
Yeah, man. So, Husk, it's been fantastic having you on the show. I mean, we were already more than 2 hours into the show, and that just tells you
yeah.
that when great conversation is going on, time flows. I want to thank you for taking the time to be here today. It honestly mean it. I had a blast with you, and I do hope you had too. Let people
Absolutely.
know where they can find you and what you are working on.
So you can find me ACS Husk anywhere. You shouldn't have to put a space or an underscore, but depending on the platform, maybe.
I make it easy. I have all your links in the description of the show note.
Perfect.
So just click
Perfect.
in
There you
there.
go.
You'll find everything, Twitter, everything.
Check out the description. Yeah, I talk to anybody that'll talk. So feel free to tag me or DM me. It doesn't matter. Always open. Right now I am working on a side project, I guess you could call it. I'm building a website. I'm taking a master's course. I got a lot going on in the background, but I am
you do.
Also finally back to my personal YouTube channel. So if you guys want to check that out, I just uploaded a section of a playthrough trailer from Dying Light 2. I always appreciate feedback. So if you do end up on my channel and you watch any of my stuff, leave feedback in the comments. That's like you don't have to click like, dislike, or subscribe, nothing. I would push feedback more than I would anything else. So yes, thanks so much for having me on. I'm glad I had the day off to be here. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Like you said,
the pleasure was all mine. The pleasure was all mine. No, thanks again for being here. And again, all the links can be found in the description. And I also want to say a big thank you, of course, to everyone who tuned in here today. I want to say a big thank you for the super chats that came in. The generosity is outstanding and it really helps. Appreciate it very, very much. Thank you, guys. But also everyone, to everyone who listens on the audio podcasts, thank you. I recently learned that this program here is very popular in Finland. We are the number 2 podcast on Apple Podcasts in Finland.
Wow.
A gaming podcast. Yeah.
That's awesome.
That is really awesome. So big shout out to you guys, but everyone else who's listening, thanks again for tuning in here today. We will be back next week with the indie gamer as a guest.
Nice.
And with him, yeah. And with him, we will talk about the indie games of 2022 and a lot of other things. So definitely make sure to tune in next week. But for now, I want to say thanks again, and don't forget to game on.